Hello, and welcome to the closing days of your quest. The challenges of these past days have been in some cases extremely personal to your experience, and in other cases may have seemed related more generally to the broad-based experience of humanity as a whole. They have, nevertheless, been relevant to your own journey because, of course, you are part of the broad-based experience of humanity as a whole, and perhaps far more exciting and inspiring to your soul, you are part of that which can assist in recreating the experience of humanity as a whole. A role that, as I've mentioned early in this quest, you may never have thought of playing until now, or that you may in fact have often thought of playing, but did not know how, in specific terms, that you might have a chance to do so. This quest was designed to offer you that chance, to move in 21 days into a new and grander experience of yourself, yet advancing not only your own evolutionary process, but playing a role in the awakening of our species. I spent 50 years as an actor in semi-professional and professional theater, and while I may never have made it to the big time in the houses of London or New York, Paris or Sydney, Moscow or Tokyo, I did play enough of the stages in regional theaters to have heard over and over again the ancient theater maxim, there are no small roles, only small actors. So I know that in life itself, as well as on the stage where life is portrayed in ways that give us a better understanding of it, even the smallest role can have the biggest impact on the outcome of the plot. William Shakespeare had it exactly right when he wrote, "All the world's a stage, and all the men and women merely players. They have their exits and their entrances, and one man in his time plays many parts." What part shall you play now, my friend? In what role shall you cast yourself as the plot thickens, with twists and turns we never thought it would take, either in our own script or in the script of the world? That's what this quest is about. And so, today, another challenge. One where just a small change in your behaviors could benefit many of those who look to you to model for them a wonder-filled way of moving through the world. Here is the guidance offered today from the list of 16 behaviors that mark the difference between highly evolved beings and those humans living in an unawakened state. An awakened species never poisons itself. Humans in an unawakened state do so often. We'll begin by understanding and acknowledging the many forms that our poisoning of the human body takes. Our self-inflicted poisons are mental, emotional, and physical. First on our list is our thoughts. We have already explored earlier in this program the advisability of eliminating any negative thoughts as a response to the sudden arising of unwelcome situations or circumstances in our life, or even any attacks from other people. We were offered the immortal words of two masters, Buddha and Jesus, on how we might best respond when darkness visits, as it does in every life, and in most cases, far more than once. We have learned through the years from other teachers and sources as well, many times and in many ways, that negativity can only breed negativity. That the universe is nothing but a Xerox machine, making immaculate and crystal clear copies of whatever we put into it. We've heard from teachers like Emile Coué and Norman Vincent Peale in the early part and the middle part of the last century, to the producers of the movie The Secret and spiritual author and teacher Esther Hicks in the beginning of this century. You've heard from all of them, all about the power of positive thinking, and by inversion about the danger of negative thinking. It is a toxin for sure, powerful enough in its impact to rank at the top of the list of ways in which human beings poison themselves. To rid ourselves of this poison, we are invited to look at our own thoughts as they arise throughout each day. What is the first idea that comes to mind when you receive a notice that the boss wants to talk to you? Do we think that she's going to surprise us with a raise, or do we think that she's going to give us a promotion and place a greater responsibility on us, giving us a place in management? Or do we think, uh-oh, what have I done now? What have I done wrong? Is the company in trouble? Is my job being cut? What's the first thing that overcomes you, the first feeling that rises within you? One of joyous anticipation or one of nervous concern? And how do you react to other things in your life? To a rainy day, or the toast that burns, or that important item you can't find, or the computer that just erased all of your work? How do you react to people of whom you do not approve? To events that do not go exactly your way? To outcomes that don't manifest as you'd planned? To simply hearing a song that you don't enjoy, or a joke that you didn't think was very funny, or a story, the story of woe of someone with whom you have run out of patience? What's the first thing you think of and respond with when an idea is proposed by someone else, any thought or solution to a mutually held problem? Is it more often than not a positive response, or more often than not a negative response? Is it one that provides another with encouragement, or offers discouragement? Are you one who almost always thinks first of the best possible outcomes, or one who always considers first all of the worst case scenarios? Only you can answer these questions, and only you can know how much of the poison of negativity you are allowing your mind to manufacture and to send out into the world, with its automatic guarantee that it will come back to you. So let's talk more specifically now for just a moment or two here about these most powerful poisons of all, your negative emotions. Many people get their stomach churning and their minds in turmoil over what turn out to be some of the smallest things. And when you ask them about it, they say, "Well, I couldn't help it. I was just overcome with emotion." Yet here is something that I think it's very important for us to understand. All emotions are chosen. Emotions are not things that happen to us. They are things that happen through us. We don't lose our temper. We choose our temper. We experience the emotions we experience because we want to. We do so by choice. Now, not many people see it that way. They would tell you that emotions are the things that happen to them. Why would anybody deliberately choose to have a negative emotion, they might ask? I can't help the way I feel. The way I feel is the way I feel. Am I supposed to pretend that I don't feel that way? Well, my answer is no. I believe we should never pretend. We should always be true to our feelings and never be inauthentic. But I also believe that we can choose our feelings. First, in response to the majority of life's events, we can actually choose the way we're going to feel ahead of time. See, you don't have to be surprised by our feelings or controlled by them. We can decide beforehand what emotion we're going to express. How is this possible? Well, it's because most of the events that generate emotions in our day-to-day experience are predictable. We can know ahead of time that many of these events are going to occur. Someone is going to disappoint us, someone is going to frustrate us, something is going to upset us, or at least it'll have all the potential to do so because that's what similar events have done in the past. But since we can predict that events which usually generate a certain kind of emotional content are very likely to occur in the average life, you could almost make a list of these events. You could decide ahead of time how you're going to respond in a new way the next time something similar occurs. This is when you truly take charge of your life. This is how you truly create your reality. Because your reality is not produced by events outside of you, but by events inside of you. And by deciding ahead of time that you're not going to entertain negativity in response to predictably unwelcome occurrences, both big and small, in your life, you can stop poisoning yourself by letting negative energy flow through you and from you. This can save you all sorts of health complications, from simple headaches to ulcers to heart attacks. So it's a good thing to pay attention to. Another way that humans poison themselves is through not what comes out of their mind and mouth, but what they put in. What kinds of movies do you go to? What kinds of television shows do you watch? What kinds of books do you read? What kinds of food do you eat? What kinds of liquids do you drink? What kinds of things do you inhale? How, if in any way, might you be poisoning yourself? Be honest. You don't have to talk to anyone else about this. Just conduct a simple self-assessment, a private self-assessment. But be honest. Tell the truth to yourself about yourself. And if you're poisoning yourself in any way that you can quickly and easily identify, ask yourself, what stops you from stopping yourself from doing that? As we move into the final days of your quest, commit not letting one more day go by without looking deeply and honestly at whether you're treating your mind and your body as the sacred vessels they are, designed as the carriers and expressions of the soul during this journey through life. Or whether you are, as some people do, actually taking better care of your car than you do of yourself. Before I conclude our exploration of the subject, I'd like to talk about the connection between the many ways in which we poison our body and a particular practice among human beings that's very common. It's called self-sabotage. It's a kind of self-defeating behavior that can include not only what you're doing, but what you're not doing. Failing to exercise, for instance, even though your doctor has told you that exercise is what's needed by your body right now. Jamming too many things into your appointment calendar, even though you know it's going to create more stress than you really should be asking yourself to handle. Skipping meals and making up for them by grabbing snacks in the middle of the day because you're too busy to stop to eat nutritiously. Not getting enough sleep and running your tank on empty way too much of the time. Make sure you're not engaging in a subtle form of self-sabotage, stopping yourself from reaching the highest level of success, joy, and happiness in what you are capable of doing in this lifetime. If any of these behaviors are familiar to you, just take a look at what you're doing to yourself and ask yourself, why am I doing that? Then tell yourself, okay, I'm done with it. I'm done with sabotaging myself. I'm done with hurting myself. I'm done with poisoning myself. Sound like a good idea? Sure it does. But remember a point we made in an earlier exploration in this program. The easiest promises to break are the promises we make to ourselves. Allow yourself to be a reliable person around all of the challenges that ending self-poisoning would require. Okay, so here are today's assignments. Number 1, name at least 3 self-poisoning behaviors that you can identify as occurring in the world today, and commit to undertaking personal participation and specific involvement in both organized and individual efforts to curb those behaviors. Number 2, bring to an end the most damaging of your own self-poisoning behaviors this day and challenge yourself to never repeat them again. Got it? Good. And I'll see you on the day of our next quest.